Rich here from Rich Eats. We're here with Jamie from Naked Bars in Whole Foods, High Street, Kensington. Hi Jamie, how you doing? Cool, yeah, you too. Cool. Right, I've been blabbing about these things for so long, and I've been eating them for a few years, and I called Jamie, I don't know, maybe it was about 2 years ago, and I just said, Jamie, I love these, thank you, let's talk. And now I'm sat here with him. I know why these things are awesome. What's the deal? Why? What are you doing with these things? Why do you love them? Why have you made them? What's happening?
If you look at it as a difference of processed food versus whole food. Yeah. So if on one hand you have an orange, and on the other hand you have an orange fizzy drink.
Yeah.
You would look at those two and you'd say, you know, something significant happens between those.
There's a big difference.
There's a big difference. And if you could just pass on one health advice that would make the most difference in their life, you would say most of the time, lean towards whole food. The closer it is to coming out of the ground, the better. It's not complicated. You don't have to know anything more than that. And the nice thing about that is people know that to be true anyway.
Yeah.
So that's not new information.
No, we know that. We know what we should
do. We know that is. And so the theory everybody understands. Now in practice that's hard to do. Like part of the reason is you go out into the world, there's just not this kind of stuff. A naked bar, for those of you guys who don't know, is just a few natural ingredients smushed together. Fruits and nuts rolled up. You can make it in your kitchen. It's not complex at all. Most bars, on the other hand, take some kind of sugary syrup, a glucose syrup or some kind, to make a bunch of cheap ingredients, rice flours and things, roll it all up, color it in sugary syrup, bake the thing. And ta-da, you have a cereal bar. And those have the nutritional qualities that you might expect.
It just strips it, doesn't it?
It just
when they bake that, they strip it of anything nice.
Yeah, it is what it is.
These things, they're just
real food.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is it's not complicated. It's not anything genius. You could have made them in 1902.
Yeah.
So that's all a naked bar. That idea of how do you make a whole food alternative to junk food in the same way that fresh squeezed orange juice is an alternative to soda pop.
Yeah. I love that spec. I love that contrast of it was an orange at one time. What happened between going from an orange, a piece of fruit, to this processed kind of craziness?
Yeah. Well, that we put into our mouth every day with such joy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? And so the amazing thing is, you know, as soon as you start hanging out more at the whole food side of the world, so many problems go away. They just disappear.
It does.
It's awfully hard to get overweight eating that.
Yeah.
It's awfully hard to get too wound up eating that.
Yeah.
And so
everything changes.
And of course, it's common sense. I mean, this idea that, you know, we face these huge problems. If we can't, as a species, control what we put in our mouth, it's hard for me to believe we're going to be able to tackle some of the really bigger issues. So we often say food first.
Food first.
Food first.
I like it.
And it's a big, we're part of the bigger thing. But start simple.
Yeah.
You know, as a trainer, as a fitness guy, when I used to train people, it's nothing staggering.
No.
Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Have an apple.
Do some exercise.
Yeah. I'll talk to groups sometimes and I'll get them all together and I'll ask this question. I'm like, how many pounds overweight should your average 10-year-old be?
Yeah.
And the answer is, not any. Not any. But our standards have just changed, so now we're eating mostly processed food most of the time.
Yeah.
As if that's normal.
And it's like
it's madness.
It's madness. They've almost changed. They've almost changed our taste receptors. Like, okay, it needs to be like 1,000 times sweeter before we actually feel what they do.
But the cool thing is, you know, when you get back onto whole food and you start eating clean again, it's not too long before your taste changes back the other way.
Absolutely. You just trained. Within a matter of days, your taste buds changed and you become sensitive again.
And instead of all that processed stuff, starts to seem a little sweet, starts to seem a little chemically, and you just don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. They think, oh, if I'm going to start eating healthy, it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I got to work. It's really, once you go, it's letting go.
Yeah.
It's letting go of being up and down. It's letting go of being addicted. It's letting go of thinking about food all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, just get on with it. Yeah. I have a question for you. Okay, so why do you think these companies, why would they add sugar to things? It's like they have this inverted sugar syrup, glucose, fructose, corn syrup, added sugar. Like, why? Why do they do that?
Yeah, you know, it's the nature of the food industry. You know, it's like those guys their primary interest isn't to make healthy food necessarily.
No.
They're running a business and they're trying to make money and they're trying to do their business thing. Of which, hey, if we can do that making healthy food, great. But that is by no means their interest. So I think, you know, as consumers, to put your trust that, oh, someday the businesses of the world are going to make it so I can be healthy, it's going to take a while. and it's depressing because there's two ways to kind of solve the problem. One, you could say, gosh, let's improve our environment so we're surrounded by better food, and it's easier for people to go and get good, healthy, whole food anywhere they are. That's hard to do, and so it really starts with, no, you've got to train yourself first, that even though you're surrounded by junk food, you're not interested in it.
It is. It's a mindset. It comes from the inside.
And then you can go anywhere. It's like that old, what was it? You ever heard that old Zen story about the guy that, something about the prince, right? He's in his palace, and he walks around barefoot, and it's all padded in his palace, right? He loves it. He starts to go outside, and there's prickers in his feet and everything, and he gets all pissed off, and he's like, have the whole land carpeted, right? Or leather, I think he said. Leather across everything so I can walk up there. Of course, the Zen master comes up and goes, or you could put shoes on your feet, and then you could walk anywhere you wanted to go. It's like that. It's this idea of think whole food, and try it and experience it yourself, and then pretty soon you won't be so annoyed by the fact that everybody's trying to sell you junk. You'll be able to walk past it.
That's good. I like that a lot.
But it's frustrating because you do look around and you say, wait, we've been experimenting with civilization for how many thousands of years? This is how we've decided to This is how we've decided to organize the food? It's like,
what did they do to me?
It's right. I know. Do I get a vote? We're going to think about this again.
All right, Jamie.
Yep.
A lot of my friends, they say to me, "Oh, Rich, you're so obsessed with all this stuff." And fair enough, I have gone, I think, a lot further than a lot of people would go. Let's see where you are. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being all you eat is raw vegetables, 1 being, I guess, eating chocolate every day. Where would you say you are on that spectrum of like how good your diet is?
I'm on average, I'm about an 8. And I alternate between peaking up to 10s. You get kind of motivated and you really fire up, and it's all juices and everything. And I'm mostly an 8. And it becomes easy. I think that the big misconception about people is that you somehow, once you're there, you have to struggle to maintain it. It just becomes natural common sense because you kind of lose interest in that other stuff. And I remember growing up, and I was middle America, it was cheeseburgers and McDonald's and Cokes, and it was just all the junk, right? That's what we grew up on, And so you remember all of that, and you just kind of evolve past it, and you remember it, and you kind of have a nostalgia for your youth with it, but you're not tempted by it. In the same way, there's a lot of things you used to like that you're not tempted by. So
there becomes like a new norm, doesn't there?
But the idea that it's an effort.
It's not.
For a while there is, but if it's too much of an effort, the problem is a mental thing. If you're really cutting through it and you have to, I gotta eat this carrot, and you're just going at it like, back up. There's a framing issue that will make life a lot easier for you, because that's just a willpower thing that you can't ever win, it seems to me. So 8 most of the time.
About an 8.
You'd like my fridge.
Good man. Thank you.
My pleasure. Nice talking to you.